The world has witnessed strange and eerie discoveries that defy explanation. In this video, we will see some of the archaeological mysteries that have intrigued humanity throughout time. The Screaming Mummy. She is an especially terrifying-looking mummy, with her face distorted as if she was screaming in pain during her final moments. Another detail that caught our attention is that she appeared wrapped in sheepskin, considered impure by the ancient Egyptians. It was also discovered that her hands and feet had been tied for some unknown reason. Several studies showed that the man had been embalmed quickly, without the usual removal of the brain and internal organs from him. It seemed like someone was in a hurry to bury him. It is believed that unknown Mani may have been poisoned or buried alive. There is a theory that suggests that he does not belong to Pentar, one of the sons of Ramses III, who was forced to ingest poison for having participated in a plot against his father. Klarksdorp spheres. The enigmatic nature of the Klarksdorp spheres has generated numerous theories and debates, but to date, there is no scientific consensus on their origin. While some maintain that they are simply natural concretions, others have speculated that they could be advanced cultural artifacts or even evidence of ancient extraterrestrial technology. The lack of conclusive evidence and the mystery surrounding these spheres have contributed to their status as an unsolved enigma in archaeology and geology. The discovery of the Klarksdorp spheres highlights the importance of approaching interpretations of archaeological and geological finds with caution. While it is tempting to consider sensational explanations, the lack of conclusive evidence and the need to apply rigorous scientific methods underscore the importance of continuing to research and examine these areas in the context of current scientific knowledge and evidence. The Bust of Nefertiti. The Bust of Nefertiti, a magnificent work carved in limestone and covered with painted stucco, immortalizes Nefertiti, the great royal wife of the Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaten. Discovered by German archaeologist Ludwig Borchardt in Egypt, this bust dates to around 1345 BC and is attributed to the sculptor Thutmose. However, controversy surrounds its acquisition, as Borchardt may have engaged in intentional fraud by misleading Egyptian officials about the true nature of the bust. The display of the Bust of Nefertiti in Berlin since 1923 has been the subject of debates and requests for repatriation by Egypt. A newly discovered document reveals that Borchardt misled Egyptian officials about the quality of the bust and provided misleading information. This revelation has intensified the dispute over the ownership of the Bust of Nefertiti, and Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities has requested its return or, at least, its temporary repatriation. The controversy raises ethical considerations about the repatriation of cultural heritage and highlights the importance of addressing disputes over the possession of historical artifacts. Egypt's request is part of a global debate over the return of cultural artifacts seized during colonial times or in archaeological excavations, and Germany's refusal to return the bust highlights the complexity of these issues. Loco Cave. Nestled in the picturesque landscapes of southwestern France is the extraordinary Loco Cave, famous for its captivating Paleolithic cave paintings. Discovered by 4 teenagers on September 12, 1940, the walls of the cave house almost 2,000 figures of animals, humans, and abstract signs. The collection includes deer, cows, bison, cats, a bird, a rhinoceros, and a bear, all engraved with great detail and artistic finesse. These paintings offer a vivid image of the ancient world and the sacred act of painting. In 1948, the cave was opened to the public, but the daily influx threatened the delicate paintings. In 1963, it was decided to close Loco to preserve its valuable heritage. 2 decades later, an exact replica called Loco II emerged, offering visitors the chance to experience the magic of the cave without endangering the original works of art. The Loco paintings feature prominently in art history, and one particularly striking work, known as the Crossed Bison, shows the painter's extraordinary skill in capturing realism and using perspective. Despite these preservation efforts, the Loco Cave still faces new threats, such as the growth of mold, fungi, and bacteria that can damage the paintings and erase their timeless beauty. The Ashurbanipal Library is an archaeological treasure discovered in the 19th century by Austin Henry Layard in the ancient city of Nineveh, Iraq. Composed of more than 25,000 fragments of clay tablets, it reveals the intellectual wealth of ancient Assyria and the literary passions of King Ashurbanipal. The monarch, noted for his military and cultural achievements, sent scribes throughout his empire in search of literary treasures, building a library that ranged from chronicles and religious texts to the Epic of Gilgamesh. This impressive collection, including literary masterpieces and treatises on medicine and astronomy, offers deep insights into Assyrian culture, religion, and intellectual landscape. In 612 BC, during the siege of Nineveh, the palace that housed the library was burned down. However, the heat partially cooked the slats, preserving them as a preservative rather than destroying them. The Ashurbanipal Library is a unique testimony that has stood the test of time, inviting us to explore the history of Assyria and the king's passion for knowledge through these ancient literary fragments. The Silver Pharaoh. In 1940, the Frenchman Pierre Monti made an unprecedented archaeological discovery that earned the recognition of the scientific community. What he found was the tomb of the ancient Egyptian pharaoh Susnepes I. The discovery occurred in the city of Tennis, where the crypt was almost intact. Susnepes first ruled from 1039 to 991 BC. His original name, Susenzai, means the star that appears in the beloved city of Ammon. His burial demonstrated great magnificence commensurate with his importance. In the tomb was not only the pharaoh, but also his wife, two other pharaohs before his reign, a prince and a priest. Looking at his sarcophagus, we will know that he was called the Silver Pharaoh. The outer sarcophagus was made of red granite, and the middle one was made of black granite, both of which had been reused or usurped. The mummy of Susnepes was inside a third coffin made of solid silver, something unusual in ancient Egypt, since having to be imported, it was a rarer and more valuable metal than gold. Additionally, the coffin had rich gold decoration, including a funerary mask. The entire outer shell was found surprisingly in very good condition. Its interior, on the other hand, was completely disintegrated, indicating that, despite the luxury, the best preparations were not made for the preservation of the body. The fire mummies. Unlike the Egyptians, ancient Filipino tribes had a unique way of treating their dead. They turned them into fiery mummies. This involved subjecting the bodies to intense fire instead of embalming them. When someone was about to die, they were given a lot of salt to dehydrate the body from the inside. After dying, the bodies were roasted for weeks or months. Sometimes they even put hot embers inside them to burn them from the inside. Once completely dry, the bodies were made into a kind of compact human jerky and placed in small lemon-shaped coffins called kamanzi. These coffins were hidden in remote caves in the mountains. When the Spanish colonizers arrived in the 15th century, these practices disappeared due to the Catholic burial customs they brought. However, the Caban caves, where the mummies were found, were later rediscovered. So far, more than 300 fire mummies have been found in these caves, some up to 100 years old with tribal tattoos visible on their skin.